Thank you for coming. Peter was born in Leeds on the 10th of February 1942 to Sam and Marjorie. This was the middle of the Second World War. Shortly after he was born, Sam was shipped overseas to India, seconded to the Indian Army. He returned in time for Christmas 1945. I was born in 1946, Patricia born in 1948, and then the family moved to Doncaster. Peter loved Doncaster. He excelled at Beachfield Junior School and Doncaster Grammar School. Latin and Greek were his favourite subjects. In 1954, he was diagnosed with osteomyelitis, a rare bone infection. On being admitted to hospital, Mother was asked if he was Catholic or Protestant. "Oh no," she said, "we are Church of England." Luckily, he had a full recovery. At school, he was a talented sportsman. He won his school caps for both cricket and rugby, and at football, he helped his local youth team win the Doncaster Cup against the top team in the league. Doncaster was where he found his love of Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis and rock and roll music. He sported an Elvis quiff and a curled lip. A prized 14th birthday present was a Danzig record player, and this went everywhere. In 1958, at the age of 16, his Doncaster world was dashed. Sam wouldn't let him go to university, even though his form master came to the house to plead with him to change his decision. Then in October, Sam was promoted, so we left Doncaster and moved to Newcastle. The move included a new sister, Deborah, who was born in August. Peter had to leave all his friends from school and start again. He was given a scholarship to Newcastle Royal Grammar School. As he couldn't go to university, he left school after a year and started work with the National Provincial Bank in Newcastle. Sport was an important part of his time here. He played rugby for Percy Park, getting into their first team and had a couple of English internationals. He played cricket for Tynemouth and Cumberland County. In 1960, Peter's world changed again. Sam was promoted to handle a merger of his firm's Glasgow offices. Peter could have stayed in Newcastle, but he had no real support group, so he reluctantly moved with us. Our family of 6 and a dog squeezed into a Ford Consul for the 6-hour journey north. We arrived in Glasgow on a bleak April day. Snow was falling. The claustrophobic tenement housing on the drive-in were bleak and soot-blackened, and a different language too. "See you, Jimmy." Welcome to the People's Republic of Jockistan. Peter was very angry about the move. With no school friends locally for support, he became disconsolate. No one had heard of mental health issues back then. He eventually turned himself around, joined the Norwich Union, and he embarked on a career with them. He joined West of Scotland Rugby Club and played senior rugby again with international players. He couldn't bring himself to play cricket in Scotland though. He met Sheila at the Majestic Ballroom in Glasgow in September 1962, and this gave him a fresh start and direction. They married in 1967, and in 1968 he was appointed as a branch inspector in Chippenham. Back to England at last. In 1970 he was transferred to York, where Susan and Penny were born. York reawakened his love of cricket. He made lots of good friends, and he changed York Cricket Club into winners. In December 1973 he moved to Birmingham, still with the Norwich Union, which meant he had had 4 houses in 6 years. Knoll was a perfect place for Peter, a great place to live, excellent schools for the children, and first-class cricket. He was happy to remain here. He didn't want to impose the trauma of moving on Susan and Penny that he had endured. They both went to university. He followed rugby in the winter and played cricket in the summer, football as well. He developed the youth cricket training in the 1980s that is now a big part of Knoll and Dorridge. Holidays were an important part of his life. He and Sheila travelled extensively. A passion was for canals. One trip that nearly ended in disaster was a trip to the Suez Canal from Durban. Somali pirates attacked the ship. The Brits threw deck chairs to repel boarders, whilst the Italian crew hid. He never forgot Doncaster, and he met with his old school friends for annual weekends, keeping memories alive. When Peter retired, he took up tennis. He had the same tenacity to win that he applied to everything. He was a Yorkshireman after all. He enjoyed playing at the tennis club, winning a doubles tournament in 2006. He is fondly remembered by members. Latterly, he developed a love for bridge. That was a family tradition. His bridge partners were a bright spot, helping him to endure the 2 years he had after Sheila's death. Peter and Sheila celebrated their golden wedding in 2017 with friends and family at Hogarth's. He lost Sheila to cancer in March 2020 before he was diagnosed with an incurable cancer in October that year. Peter was lovingly looked after at home by Susan and Penny with the help from Marie Curie. They eventually secured a place at the Marie Curie Hospice on his 80th birthday, but he passed peacefully that evening, listening to Elvis. Peter was a great role model. He was very intelligent and would have loved to have gone to university to study classics, but he never looked back on what might have been. Peter was a very supportive brother, including me in his sporting endeavours and helping me develop. He gave me my love of music. He leaves behind his two lovely daughters, Susan and Penny, and Edwin and William, his grandsons. We will miss him. Thank you.